Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to the Planet FPL Weekender, where me and my Friday partner in crime, David Hunt, are going to discuss some of the key talking points from the last week of football and have a little look ahead to some of the stuff at the weekend. David, how are you, mate?
Good, thanks, mate. Yeah, but I guess we're both all right, aren't we? With the midweek, things are looking up a little bit.
Yeah, Spurs. Yeah, and I'm keen to
Super
get.
Spurs.
I'm keen to get. I know you watched Tottenham the other night as well, so kind of keen to get your neutral opinion on that. We'll be discussing a bit of Tottenham. We'll discuss Liverpool, different tactical setup in Marseille with Mo Salah's return, what that might mean for the weekend at Bournemouth. We'll round up a lot of the other stuff in terms of Champions League and Europa League, including Manchester City's defeat in Bodo. Neither me or David watched it, so I'm not going to do that in too much detail. But what we are going to have a look at is some predicted lineups for tomorrow, because I know that's a lot of the talking point in the FPL community at the moment. We'll also do some free hit and some wildcard drafts for this game week. And we're also going to recap the Monday night football, but we are going to start with something quite remarkable that happened on Sunday night, David. I have promised we would discuss it. I wasn't watching it live, but you were watching the African Cup of Nations final. What in happened?
Oh, AFCON, never change. That is it's so good. Yeah, you just don't get that anywhere else. It was mayhem. Uh, Actually, not a lot happened, I would say, for 90 odd minutes. I'd say Senegal had the better of the chances. There was a couple of good saves by Morocco's keeper Bono, who I'm not going to make any YouTube puns. I'm better than that, quite frankly.
But
It's
you've
all been
done
done
it
before.
anyway. Right.
No, I have in the past, yeah, but not today.
Yeah.
It wasn't a beautiful day for him. I couldn't resist one. There you go.
Have
Uh,
a word with yourself, David.
um, but yeah, there was a good headed chance for Pap Gay in the first half. There was another good chance for Illiman and Jai. Both saved well by Bono. And then there was a good chance for El Khabi in the second half for Morocco. Not a lot else, to be honest. Kind of all switched towards, I think it was about 75, 80 minutes in when, and this was probably the bigger controversy for me, when Senegal get I say a goal ruled out, but the referee blows very early when Sek is deemed to have pushed Hakimi. Sek's
Wasn't that in
header.
injury time as well? I thought that was in injury time as well, no?
Sorry, yeah, no, you're right. That's when Sek came on. I got it slightly wrong. Yeah, that was very much towards
It's like
injury. Yeah,
91st, 72nd minute,
yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
that's correct. Yeah, so Sek's header hits the bar and Ismail Assar heads it in, and the ref's already blown because of a perceived push from Sek on Hakimi. Because he's blown early, VAR can't look at it.
Yeah, you
Um,
can see that a few people have stopped.
yeah,
Definitely. But I mean, it wasn't a foul, but VAR cannot intervene because the
yeah,
whistle's gone. Yeah.
it's really soft, and yeah, I think it was probably a fair enough goal. You are right. Maybe some people switch off, and then down the other end, minutes later, we've seen what's happened with the penalty incident, where Brahim Diaz is deemed to have been had an arm around his neck, basically from West Ham's El Hadj Malik Diouf. It is soft. There's no doubt about that. But I think if
It's
it was given as a free kick in the middle of the pitch, I don't think anyone would have
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. If it happens on the
questioned it.
halfway line, you were right with it, I think.
Yeah, but I think
But
because of the gravity of the
yeah, I
situation,
mean, the kind of last minute of a
yeah,
final. I don't know though. How do we perceive a foul's a foul, isn't it?
yeah,
Ultimately, why kind of alter the laws of the game just because it's in the penalty area? But I think ultimately, no one wants a game of football decided by that kind of contact.
yes,
Ultimately,
which I understand. Yeah, so that's
and
when
should
all
and
hell.
should was it given by the referee on the pitch?
No,
No, so it was VAR. So
VAR that
yeah,
gives
I
it.
don't think VAR shouldn't get involved in that.
That's my opinion too. Senegal take it very badly, as we've all seen. So the coach of Senegal, Pat Chow, um, he, along with seemingly Idrissa Gueye and Senegal's keeper Edouard Mendy, formerly of Chelsea, kind of all get their heads together and decide that they're not having this and take the team off the pitch. Sadio Mane was absolutely amazing. He looks like he showed great leadership and said, "Look, we can't be doing this. Like, let's come back on the pitch and let the penalty be taken." So it was a good 15 minutes between the penalty being given by the ref and it actually being taken by Brahim Diaz. So he's had like 15 minutes to think about what he's going to do with his penalty, and what he's decided to do is Panenka it, and he makes a real mess of it, straight into the arms of Edouard Mendy. So yeah, goes to extra time, and then the game is won by an absolute worldie of a goal by Pape Gueye. Just hell of a strike with his left foot.
That's how you want the final decided, isn't it?
Yeah,
with something like that. Yeah,
right in the top corner, goal worthy of winning any game. And Morocco did have another chance with Nesri in extra time. Decent headed shot, very good headed chance that he puts wide, and then Sharif could have wrapped it up for Senegal. Basically, misses an open goal.
Bono gets an amazing touch on it though, doesn't he? Just as he thinks he's about to score, just moves the ball slightly, doesn't it?
Yeah. So just from extra touch, kind of from injury time in normal time onwards, it was just an absolutely incredible watch. But I'm kind of, what I hadn't realised at the time, which some people may have seen, and I don't know whether you've seen it, is I'm kind of glad Senegal won because of the antics of the ball boys from Morocco with the towel of.
Yeah, I have seen. I mean, there's things that happen that need to be cut. First is something happened obviously in the Senegal away end, which I think was part caused by the Senegal players obviously leaving the pitch, where there's stuff there. I've seen some fairly nasty videos of Senegal fans trying to get, actually the police trying to drag them out the crowd, and a lot of the Senegal fans are trying to defend their fellow fans. In fact, they've got antagonized. That's not good. I'm not saying that they didn't cause problems themselves. I don't know. I can only perceive it from what I've seen. The towel incident is bizarre.
Mental, yeah.
Where it's the third choice goalkeeper is like protecting Edouard Mendy's
towel throughout the whole game. This is
and they're trying to nick the towel off him.
Yeah.
I have seen a video of Matt Swawi of Manchester United, who's like, "Can you leave it alone? Like, what's going on? Like, a football match. This is like a sideshow. It's like something at a playground, isn't it? It really, really is.
Yeah.
But also, you could look at that and go, that's terrible from Morocco. You can also look at it in terms of the controversy of the on-field decisions, feeling like Morocco didn't deserve to win. But also, it's difficult to feel like Senegal deserved to win.
Yes.
When ultimately, they've left the football pitch. You cannot do that.
No, and that's well said. And I think Senegal do need some sort of sanctions for that. Maybe the coach or the players, because that sets a really dangerous precedent if teams are allowed to do that without any kind of consequence. So yeah, that's very well said.
Reasons to leave a football pitch, good reasons, would be like one of your players got racially abused or something like that. Yes, would be a very good reason to say no, we're going off the pitch. And that's nothing to do with the opponent or the officiating. No matter what a decision is, even if you feel wronged, you got to take it.
Yeah,
it has to be that way.
Yeah, no arguments there. Definitely, yeah. But yeah, just absolute mayhem from basically 90 minutes onwards. It was just an incredible game. Apparently, I've read bits as well saying that in like the press conferences after the game as well, there was fighting in that. There was fighting amongst journalists.
Well, they wouldn't let the Senegal manager speak, I think, was
easy. Yeah. So yeah, we'll see what happens.
I mean, neither team here has covered themselves in glory, ultimately, and it'll get remembered in that way rather than Pape Gueye's brilliant goal. That is going to get remembered for all the other stuff. That's the lasting memory of the tournament, is what's happened in that period of injury time at the end of the second half. I was going to say no one won, but Senegal won, didn't they? But yeah, I'm very conflicted in terms of, I mean, I don't have a horse to back you. Make no difference to me whether Morocco or Senegal won. Yeah. I'm pleased Pape Sarr won the trophy from a Spurs perspective, but I couldn't care less.
No.
But when it was going on, unfortunately, I was putting a little man to bed, so I couldn't watch it. But I was watching all the messaging coming in on Slack. It's like, wow, what is this? People are going this. I've never seen anything like this in a football match before.
Yeah, I saying ball boys as well. You may have an image about, all right, just some kids sort of trying to.
Wasn't it some of the substitutes as well?
They look like older than ball boys. They look.
But wasn't it some of the substitutes?
That's what
I'd heard.
I couldn't quite tell.
They're too big to be ball boys.
They looked bigger than ball boys. So it's just mad. You wouldn't get it anywhere else but Africa, I don't think. Although maybe South America kicks off quite a bit sometimes, but yeah, for like a European viewer, it was kind of crazy to view, really. Yeah,
I guess. I mean, I think Morocco have put an appeal in, haven't they? Which you ain't going to get the result of the game changed now.
no.
But you'd have to look at it and go, ultimately, Senegal have left the football pitch and they've won. So there's nothing to stop someone else doing it at a World Cup or in the future because it didn't do them any harm. The delay for Brahim Diaz, etc. Something's got to be put in place to say, well, if you do that, this is what's going to happen.
I completely agree with that. Yeah.
I don't know if that is, if you do that, you've lost the game. I don't know if it just has to be that. Like, if you approach a referee and go, one of our players is being, racially or homophobically abused or whatever, and we're leaving the pitch because we're not having this from the crowd, I think that's very, very different. If you leave a football pitch because of a referee's decision, I think the power should then be with the referee to say, hang on, you forfeit a football match. That's it. It's done. It's over.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I think Sadio Mane comes out of it really, really well because he seemed to be the guy.
Yes.
Almost the lone guy trying to sort of, and the captain of the team trying to say, come on, we can't do this. And he said words to that effect after the game finished. There was a shot in the crowd of El Hadj Diouf, the former Liverpool player. He's just
loved.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, we love him. We love him at Liverpool. Yeah, he's on the phone in the stands during like the break of when Senegal are off the pitch. So I would love to know who he's on the phone. Who's on the phone to there? What's he trying to sort
probably
of
like I show speed. He was in the ground. He's like, do you want to meet for a drink now or something? Maybe who knows? The penalty before we finish. So you and I have defended Panenka. Well, certainly I have. I've defended Panenka's a little bit recently. It's left question marks.
It was bad, wasn't it? It's a bad effort.
The thing is, like, Alexis Sanchez scored the winning penalty in a Copa America final doing that. I know it was from a penalty shootout, and it's called a Panenka for that reason. The Czech player in 1976, Panenka, did that deciding penalty 1976 European Championship final. It does feel like with the amount of time you waited, if that was me, I'm not doing that. I'm hitting the thing as fucking hard as I can. I ain't had any time to practice with the board. Don't have time was tampering with a penalty spot, whatever. I can't shake. I'm not saying he missed on purpose or whatever, but I can't shake the reaction of the Senegal players. I can't shake it.
No, I'm not having that.
It's so weird, Dave. None of them celebrate the fact that their goalkeeper has just saved them the final with pretty much the last kick of the game. They all just turn around and run away like he's caught a cross.
That just makes no sense. It makes no. Yeah, I get what you're saying about Senegal
just
players.
Watch the Senegal players. Yeah. It's weird.
He just looks so crestfallen as well, Diaz. That unless he's a great actor, I don't know. I'm with you though. He should have just put his foot through it. Definitely with that weight after the.
Could it be that he's overridden with guilt?
But I think it's arguably
it was also him that won the penalty, right?
Yeah. It's him that Diouf puts his arms around. No, I disagree with you there. I think he just.
No, I'm not saying he did, but I can't explain that reaction. I would think, and I realise it's different to like, maybe it would have been different if he saved the penalty and pushed it wide for a corner and they all run up to him while they try and defend the corner. So I get it, ball's in play. The right attitude is actually, yes, get on with the game. But no one even puts their arms in the air or anything. They just all turn around and get on with the game.
Yeah. No, that is true. Yeah, you'd have
weird.
Thought
I can't shake it.
You'd have almost expected like a Martin Keown, Van Nistelrooy situation, wouldn't you? With
I would expect like the centre back, might want to get in position to receive like a bowled out ball or something. Someone's going to go up to like Mendy and go, "Well done, mate! Like you've saved us here." It's a save. It's a save. Whatever.
Yeah. Maybe it'll all come out in the wash one day.
No, it will never. No. I just. No one can explain that reaction from the outfield Senegal players. It doesn't make sense.
Mad night. It was a great night on Slack on our
considering all the emotion that's gone on in the 25 minutes or so that the game's not been played.
Yeah.
I would have even expected someone to get in Diaz's face or something and be like, what are you doing? Or
That's
there's
what I'm saying.
nothing.
Like the Martin Keown Van Nistelrooy situation.
Exactly.
Yeah. No, it was basically an odd hour or so, but absolutely wonderful to watch. As someone with no dog in the fight, it was amazing entertainment.
All AFCON players have returned, by the way. That includes Senegal players. I think all the Senegal players returned to their clubs yesterday. I know certainly at least the two SARS did. So if anyone's thinking about Iliman and Dyer for Monday, yeah, sure he's going to be available. So everybody's back from AFCON and available. Monday Night Football. You watched the second half, I understand, Brighton Bournemouth.
Yes, we were doing our UCL pod, weren't we, during the first half? But I didn't go back and watch the first half. But
oh yes, I said to you, don't tell me the score because I was going to go home and watch it, and I watched it all back as if it wasn't, or as if it was live. You said to me, "Oh, it's not 0-0." I was like, "There's no way Bournemouth are involved in a 0-0 at the moment." Anyway, although I do think it might be quite low scoring against Liverpool tomorrow as well. Yeah, I watched all of it. I really enjoyed this. Really enjoyed the game. What I enjoyed most was Bournemouth's performance in the first half. The game was played at some serious tempo, and both teams deserve real credit for that because it was played in a graveyard atmosphere. It really was.
Right.
I get it. Two teams in relatively safe positions in the league. Monday night, weather's shit. It wasn't completely full. Bournemouth hadn't sold their allocation, although those were there, tried to make some noise. But you got this really high tempo football match being played in a very, very quiet atmosphere. I think both teams deserve real credit for that. But after kind of about quarter of an hour, 20-minute mark, Bournemouth, the difference between was Bournemouth's speed of attack was they're more direct. I don't confuse that with necessarily long, but they're more direct than Brighton is a little bit more intricate. And they had Brighton all over that place in the second half of the first half. And they could have gone up more than one. I think the penalty is a little bit controversial, but when VAR looks at it, ultimately Verbruggen does stick his leg into a kind of weird high position. Personally, I would say don't give it because it's a VAR interpretation and the player is not getting the ball. So with kind of shirt pulls in the box, a lot of it is right decision by consequence. There's no consequence here. I think it was Krupi got brought down, wasn't it? He's not gonna get to the ball anyway. So I would have probably preferred it not to be given, but I understand why it was. Bournemouth deserved to be in front. I watched kind of the last 20 minutes of the first half thinking, my goodness, I would love to have a football manager like this, the way this team is playing. That is something you could really get behind and support. And I'm kind of looking for a new manager at the moment, as many of you know. Wow. Fast forward another half hour, and there's half hour left on the clock. And I'm like, they're gone.
Yeah.
They're gone. They've got nothing left. And this is the problem with, I think a lot of managers are finding this with multiple games a week and whatever. And even in this case, Bournemouth's intensity in that first 55 minutes or so was so heavy and they didn't have substitutes to really change the game. You're like,
that's right.
At some point, they're going to stop pressing. They're going to have to end up inviting a bit of pressure. They have shown certain games like Tottenham away game week 3 where they could deal with that really well. There were similarities with how good Bournemouth were in that first half Monday to how, I mean, they absolutely destroyed my team in that fixturing game week 3. And then, so during the course of the game, I'm like, yeah, we can't have Iviola. Can't. If you're going to play 3 games a week, which would be the ambition for a club like mine, there's no way you can
need a massive squad, wouldn't you?
You want teams to go and press. I've called for it a lot with Tottenham, but the intensity on this was 100 mile an hour, absolute non-stop. And it was a joy to watch until they couldn't do it no more. And they didn't, as I said, they didn't have the substitutes to change the game. So then it became a case of holding on. Ultimately, Brighton have equalised through an overhead kick from Costellas, which is kind of outside the foot. It's a great goal, but I wouldn't put it in the all-time great overhead kick goals. I've seen a few people trying to do this week. But yeah, by the time that equaliser went in, you were like, Brighton now deserves something out of the game. If you just watched the second half, you probably was left with the perception of Brighton were the better side by distance, I imagine.
Yeah, looking at the kind of underlying data of what I could for the game, it looked like Bournemouth bossed the first half and Brighton definitely bossed the second half from what I could see. Yeah, I heard you say yesterday that Bournemouth kind of ran out of gas a little bit in the second half. So Brighton probably, I think they were worthy of a point based on the overall balance of the game, I think, weren't they?
Yeah, I think so in the end. 4 players over 34 in the Brighton starting lineup.
Is that right? All right.
Yeah, older than their manager.
yeah. Yeah. That's
And yet they
Dunk,
finished
Gross.
they finished the stronger. So Gross,
Dunk,
Veltman, Welbeck. I think
Dunk.
Dunk is as well. I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, fair play. I was watching a tweet about after the game, actually. I was really impressed with Jan Paul van Hecker in the second half. He's from a Liverpool point of view, he would be the sort of centre back I would like us to look at in terms of being able to play the ball forward from centre back into, picking a pass into
good range.
decent areas. Yeah. And I think he's only got 18 months left on his deal now. So you could potentially get him out of there for not a massive amount of money. You'd obviously you'd imagine he'd be open to a move to Liverpool. So sorry, Brighton fans, not trying to poach your best players, but he would be
Brighton and Bournemouth are used to it, unfortunately. There is a model for those two clubs which works. We discussed Bournemouth quite a bit on the transfer window show yesterday. That if Van Heck doesn't sign a new deal before the end of this year, if that's right, if you're saying he's got 1 year left on his contract, I don't think they'll let him go for free. No. The way that football club works. The only real fantasy aspect I feel coming out of this is noteworthy that obviously Bournemouth are about to come into some really good fixtures. The player that appealed the most, Marcus Tavernier, who scored a penalty, has a hamstring injury. We haven't got confirmation on how long that's going to keep him out, but Andoni Iraola said straight after the game he will miss some time. I would suggest it's going to be at best probably 3 games or so, probably. I wouldn't be surprised if it's longer. If it's longer, it's of no interest. The problem is if you've gone to Tavernier, and I know a few people have been there, where do you go? There ain't many places to go, is there? My instinct is the best replacement might be the lad that we discussed yesterday, and you wait for it. Is Rayan. Who's not even officially joined them yet.
No.
But I'm going to guess he can't go in much more than 6, could he? At tops, I think.
I mean, he scored a few goals in Brazil, didn't he? So maybe...
But he's joining the team that's, 15th in the league. Can you be putting him in any more than that?
Not more than 6, I wouldn't think, no. No, that would seem on the pricey side, I think. I've been sat all this time, having bought him the day before he did his hammy. I've still got Kid and Dewsbury Hall, believe it or not. So we believe he's back in training now. So that could be somewhere people could look to go to. Lefay, maybe Xhaka.
You're in this bracket. The James Garner, Harry Wilson. If you don't own it, those are a few. Obviously, if you can get up, people are going to look at Enzo Fernandez, Iliman and Ismail Assar back as well. You're going to look in that kind of area, I guess. I guess it's more one for discussion. What if you don't have the money to go anywhere? Some people will be in that status. Do you consider Mane? Just coming right down to Mane, knowing that could be double in 26. I think with Villa clinching, by the way, a top 8 place last night in Europa League, it's not beyond reason you get a provisional announcement as early as today.
Right, okay.
It's not to say it will happen, but I think that's a possibility today.
That'd be a structural change, wouldn't it? You might have to sell an Ekatike or a Thiago to do that. But yeah, potential route
Utara, another one back.
That. Yes, he's spoiler alert. He's in my free.
That would be similar. That must be similar price. Dango Utara,
5'8", I think he is. Yeah, something.
Yeah, like good fixture this way, but then you look at the 3 afterwards. Then it goes good again for Brentford.
Yeah,
Emi Buendia, Villa.
I hadn't considered him. Yeah, he's had a really good season, hasn't he?
He had a look through his returns recently, though. He scored at Tottenham in the cup, but I don't think he's done anything since the winner late on against Arsenal, which was, I'm going to say, game week 16 or so.
He's not someone I've considered, to be honest, Buendia. No.
But you would think minutes might be good. Also have a consciousness of them and transfer window and wanting to do something, maybe.
You could drop down to Lewis Miley, maybe, because Bruno Guimaraes might be missing.
A lot of the players feel like you want to attack more next week as well. So if it's, I don't suppose you were super high about Tavernier versus Liverpool this week anyway.
I'm
So
glad he's out though.
no, you should. He's a good
Yeah,
player,
he's a good player. Yeah.
and he played really well in the first half, particularly as well. And if people can hide it this week, I don't know if that's a lot of people might be shoving teams around to get Bruno Fernandes in next week as well. So Tavernier might have an impact on that. Maybe it does have to come down to Mane's or Xhaka's, Lafay's, that kind of thing. Okay. Europe.
Mm-hmm.
Manchester City. I was on my way to Spurs.
Yeah.
Jumped on a train, saw they were 2-0 down. I was like, wow. Got to the ground, big screen outside the home end, 3-1 down and down to 10 men. Little kind of Ange, well done. Maybe it wasn't that easy. It's an absolute nightmare place to play. And let me tell you, when my team drew their 2-2 this year in the Champions League, we got absolutely slaughtered. How we got out there with something, I've no idea. The fair reflection of that game would have been something very similar to what happened to Manchester City the other night. But that's a headline, isn't it? For City to go there and lose is a real headline.
Yeah, I mean, Bodo's season isn't even underway yet. The Norwegian season doesn't kick off, I believe, until March or something like that. So absolutely watched the highlights earlier, and commentator was saying it's arguably the best result in their history. Looks like the scoreline does not flatter Bodo Glimt whatsoever.
No, it sounds like it was fully deserved.
Some of the goals, I mean, the third goal from Jens Petter Hauge, worth seeking out if you've not seen it yet. Great bit of trickery, and then
good when we played them in match day 2. We covered him a little bit actually on one of the podcasts me and Suj did, and spoke about him because he had been out in Germany, if I remember correctly, and it didn't work out for him. And I was like, he's going to be going somewhere else. But apparently he didn't work out for him in Europe, and he loves it there. Mm-hmm. He's playing with his mates and he's really happy. It's kind of like an old school story. He is an absolutely terrific player.
Some goal, the third goal.
Yeah, and he hit the bar not long afterwards as well.
Yeah, so City, it was a tough night for young Max Lane. He had a good headed chance at 0-0. Should probably do better. And then for the second goal, he makes a bit of a mess of it, to be honest, for the I think it was Hoga who scores the second goal. City, I mean, Haaland and Foden, by all accounts, I think Johnny Pringle tweeted, didn't he, saying they're not playing particularly well. Haaland had a couple of chances. Cherky scores, but when it's 3-0 down, so the damage was kind of already done there. Rodri gets 2 yellow cards in the space of a minute, both clear yellows. Don't know what he's doing. So he's going to miss the is it Galatasaray they've got next week? That's game match day 8. So yeah, bad night for City, and that's on the back of another bad game in the last Premier League game as well. So it's at United. So yeah, in a sticky run at the moment.
So I'll just read you that tweet that you've mentioned from Johnny, our Manchester City correspondent. This is kind of like an hour after the game. He says, this is obviously FPL related. I don't know what to tell you regarding City. The whole team has had a terrible few days. Haaland and Foden in particular are getting pelters. And I presume he's saying within the Manchester City fan base, not happy with how they're playing. Foden and O'Reilly are probably a play v Wolves. Hope, then sell. Haaland would also be a sell if there was any other premium performing. Well, until Salah or someone else truthfully put their hand up. So Johnny didn't know what to say on Manchester City, and guess what? Neither of them to me or David. But we've decided we'll have a stab at this and predict the lineups for the game for Manchester City against Wolves tomorrow. And as per usual, like we do with the free hit and the wildcard draft, so we'll cover at the end. Me and David have not had any prior conversation about this. I did mine last night. I asked David for a team this morning. David sent it to me. We've got 9 of the same 11.
Have we? Right. Okay. Channeled my inner Pep.
Talk through what you've gone with, David. And look, there's guesswork here.
Yeah. I mean, I said to you, I could easily have half the team wrong.
Without a doubt. Same as me, mate. Same as me.
Donnarumma, I'm quite confident about. So we'll stick
That's
him
a good start. Well done.
Yeah.
Congratulations. That's James Trafford's start confirmed, isn't
Yeah, that's funny as fuck if that happens, right? Back
it? I've
four.
seen some interesting memes of Donnarumma on Bodo's first goal, some edited pictures of that.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Rico Lewis at right back. We haven't had an update on Mateus Nunes yet, so he played on Tuesday, so put him there. Tough night for Elaine, as I've just said. So I've put Kusanov in rather than Elaine. Pretty sure Mark Gay's going to go straight in. He can't play on Wednesday, I don't think, can he? So get him in. Get him.
They've just looked so shot defensively across these two games. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he goes straight in.
On paper, it seems like a dream debut for him, really, to sort of get used to his teammates. So I went with Aït-Nouri at left back because of the midfield I've picked, because just in terms of build up, he's a really good ball player. He can step into midfield areas. So I could easily be wrong. It could be O'Reilly. I think you've picked Ake, haven't you? So you can maybe talk about that in a minute. Rodri got sent off, so we can't play on Wednesday. So I assume he will play tomorrow. And then it's a little bit of guesswork. I've gone with Reinders. Part of me had an influence of the fact that he scored and looked really good at Wolves on the opening day of the season, didn't he? So could he go with that again? Foden, I just think he'll play. Couldn't really give you a reason why he wouldn't play, so I've stuck him in. Semenyo can't play on Wednesday, so pretty sure he will play tomorrow. Feels like a Doku game. So I stuck him on the left and Haaland up front. So that's the best I've got.
Well, we landed very similar. I only had two changes to what I went with. So I went, Nathan Ake left back. And I thought about that in the sense of stability with Mark Gay obviously coming into the team. He's still going to be new to his teammates. Obviously, he's a superior player to what they've got available. But, how does Kusanov deal with certain things? I think he can be quite aggressive, Kusanov, in terms of going out, and it's a positive trait. But he might not know what Kusanov's going to do. So I also thought in terms of build-up, if Nunes is unavailable, which we don't know at the moment, but I thought, well, if Nunes is unavailable, it'd probably be Rico Lewis. They've played Aït-Nouri at right back in Bodo, and Lewis played. It sounds weird to me, but okay, fine. Pep knows best. But what I thought is if it's Lewis at right back again, then they'll probably want to move him into midfield areas. And therefore, is it like a back three formation? Naki sits in, Rodri with Lewis, and then you push the midfielders a little bit higher. The other change that I've got different to you is Bernardo Silva instead of Reinders. I thought about exactly what you said about Reinders versus Wolves opening day of the season, but also it's a different manager.
Yeah, true.
So I don't know if there's anything to contextualize and say, this worked against Wolves before. I think it's different. You might even be referencing better what City have done against Luton historically rather than what they did against Wolves opening day of the season. So I think Donnarumma, Gay, Kusanov feel certainties. Neither you or I put Nico O'Reilly. It could easily be Nico O'Reilly, right? But part of the thinking on that as well is if it's Doku Semenyo in the wide positions, you need less of a player that's going to be up and down touchline. I mean, if you look at O'Reilly and Aït-Nouri from right back, they're heat mats from the game in midweek. Like, it's real touchline stuff. O'Reilly can move into midfield. He played in midfield when they won in the first leg of the Carabao at Newcastle, for example. So he could also perform that role. But Doku, did he even get on at all? I don't think he got on, did he, in midweek?
Don't think so. I'll check that.
Semenyo, as you said, ineligible. So Semenyo, surely it's a certain start, and he started his City career quite well. Rodri, because the suspension. The other thing to factor in on Bernardo Silva, it's kind of the opposite in the sense he was suspended for the game in Bodo the previous midweek. And I just know that in times of, I don't want to say crisis, but they're getting closer to one. He loves to have Bernardo Silva in his teams because he can adjust what he does. And I think Foden probably gets the nod over Reinders. Marmoush obviously back in the frame now as well. Marmoush replaced Foden with 20 minutes to go in
that was the only sub Pep made on Tuesday night. Marmoush for Foden with 20 to go.
but Marmoush could also play instead of Haaland.
Yeah.
So, in terms of confidence here on this team, truthfully, I'd say maybe, as in near 100%, I'd say 5. I'd be very surprised if Doku doesn't play. Semenyo, Gay, Kusanov, Donnarumma feel sure to me. Rodri is he's obviously suspended next midweek, so you'd think play, but he's also just played the last 2 games, third game in a week. He seems to be dictating when he does and when he doesn't play. Personally, staggered that he played on an Astro pitch.
He only played
the issues that he's had.
He only played for an hour though, because he got sent off after an hour. So
also true, yes, but we don't know how we'd recover from.
Yeah,
it is different. It's definitely an advantage for teams who regularly play on it. It is different. The way you turn, the way the ball bounces is all different. So I wouldn't say Rodri's a certainty. That's kind of irrelevant fancy. What the fancy guys really want to know is O'Reilly, Foden, Haaland.
Yeah.
First question on Haaland. Any deliberation for you on captaincy this week?
Not at all.
No, same.
I mean, it sounds like Bruno Fernandes might go up again tonight. Early suggestions. There's at least a chance, I think. But I've got Phil Foden. I can't sell him before Wolves at home. It just makes no sense to do that. So I'll take the benching on the chin if that happens. Just got to go with it, I think. Haaland captain. I mean,
I also don't think there's strong enough alternatives. Like if Ekiteke had Bournemouth at home, I'd be more tempted. I see Thiago against Nottingham Forest, but actually both of those games feel quite low scoring to me. I just wouldn't forgive myself if Haaland started, and I know he hasn't scored a non-penalty goal for like 7 games or so. Still City at home to Wolves. And generally speaking, rule of thumb, if you think Haaland will start in a game at the Etihad, unless it's like Arsenal, don't fight it.
And he just always plays, doesn't he, Haaland?
Well, there's that as well.
Yeah. I think he's saying he's got the most minutes.
It's not to say that he can't be benched. And I think what scared people as well is what Pep said after the Newcastle game. He's exhausted. And as we said last week, don't bloody play him against Exeter then. And obviously, look, Marmoush is back now. So there might have been a plan. It might have been a plan that maybe Haaland wasn't going to start against Galatasaray. It might be that he starts and his minutes are a little bit more managed. Maybe it's a possibility if they get themselves comfortably in front. If they do, he's probably done the damage. We've all had a Haaland 45-minute haul before, I think.
Yeah.
What I'd ask people to think about, and it's not to say he can't be benched, is show me the example where he's been available and he's been left out for a Premier League game. Other than circumstances where the season was done, i.e. say towards the end of last season where they obviously can't win the title. I don't think they can win it this year, by the way, unless they sort their life out very, very quickly. I think they've probably, they got 16 games left. I think they probably got to win about 14. Can't see it the way they, defend at the moment. So I think Haaland will play.
Yeah, so.
Foden ain't got a clue.
Well, you can't sell him if you've got him, I don't think, before Wolves at home when Fernandes.
You can.
Yeah, you can. That film's out this week, isn't it? The Mick McCarthy.
Is it?
Yeah. But given Bruno, I'm going to sell him for Bruno. I think you mentioned it in a couple of pods this week when Fernandes is going to the Emirates and Foden's got Wolves at home. It just doesn't feel right, does it?
Next week.
Yeah.
I'm not chasing it. Yeah. And O'Reilly's the other one, really, for people, I guess.
Yeah, it's tricky to know that one, definitely.
I think. Look, I know there'd be people in different time zones and stuff, and it makes it very, very difficult for you. I would say most likely we probably don't get anything in terms of Manchester City team who's close to the deadline. But my strategy at this moment would be with Haaland, Foden, O'Reilly, starting them all. And I need to be aware of what I'm doing if there is information that suggests otherwise that's reliable and concrete.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, yeah, what Johnny said, I'm binning O'Reilly and Foden probably next week.
Yep.
Before they play Tottenham. Oh my God, what could possibly go wrong? You watched us Tuesday night, David.
I enjoyed watching it. Well, first half was good. Second half was a bit dull,
For those who
to be
did, you
honest.
should try sitting next to me every week. You'd enjoy it a lot less, I can tell you. And that's not just because you'd be sitting next to me.
I think I want to sit next to Ricky listening to COTC if I was going to watch Tottenham. He's
Ricky is actually coming with me for the Manchester City home game as it
is he?
stands. So I don't know why he wants to do it to himself. Shout out, Ricky. Ricky was very hastily. Could I change my predictions? Because I mean, Ricky went for it really on COTC. We had no idea how bad Dortmund were. I mean, I'm still staggered by it. But go on, David. I'm keen to hear your neutral opinion on Spurs from Tuesday night.
Well, you owe me 10 quid first of all because I had 10 quid on Dortmund
Listen,
after your.
the problem is I can't refund anyone because so many people put money on Dortmund because of me.
Yeah.
There is a lesson on that, and I spoke about this on I think I asked James on Wednesday.
Gamble responsibly.
Yeah, gamble responsibly, definitely the first thing. And also never have a gamble if you don't know the two teams very well. And don't listen to an idiot who's completely biased because I'm not wrong all the things I've been saying about Tottenham. But I just assume looking at Dortmund having only lost 3 games all season, of which were to Manchester City, Bayern Munich and Bayer Leverkusen, that they would probably annihilate us. I didn't just think Dortmund would beat us. I thought they would annihilate us.
Yeah. No, you were good. I was genuinely really impressed with Tottenham in the first half. Some really good performances, but the standout for me was Jet Spence. When the graphic came up on the screen that he was going to be left wing, I was thinking, that's going to be a bit clunky, I think.
I'd said to you on UCL Fantasy Pod, I think. Oh no, that was Monday night. It was something else recorded Tuesday morning. I'd said that's the rumor going around that Jet Spence is going to play in the front three.
Yeah, I was actually impressed with Spence when he played us actually just before Christmas. I thought he had a good game against us. So seemingly most times I watch Jet Spence, he seems to step up. But he absolutely terrorised Dortmund's right back in that first half. I think he was a handful, wasn't he? Some good goals. Solanke's was a beautiful finish,
wasn't it? Frank called it something like a beautiful treble touch or something, but he deadpanned it like as in he was being serious, like it was a great finish. He's obviously tried to flick it in. He's hit his left foot, come back, hit his right foot. Oh, listen, Dom needed that.
Yeah, no, sometimes that's what you need, isn't it, to sort of get a bit of momentum. Romero's finish was good as well for the first goal. He sort of took it quite well, I thought. The only kind of problems you had really in that first half was when I seem to remember Vicario making some sort of error.
He had one moment where he looked like he was going to walk the ball back into his own goal and nearly trips over his feet. But at least this time, unlike the Fulham incident, he got himself in trouble and went, I'm going to kick this out. Okay, well, fine. That's better than kick it centrally where someone might shoot and score again. Okay, fine, you kicked it out. Okay.
Yeah, but Tottenham were really good in the first half, and then there was the red card, which I felt a little bit sorry for the Dortmund player really because he didn't mean any harm, but when you see it back, it probably is a red card. So yeah, 2-0 up, man advantage in at half time. Happy days. Second half was a bit of a non-event really. I don't know whether Dortmund they kind of showed more than they did in the first half. And I guess
yes, very true.
You would have to give them some credit for doing that, but maybe Spurs kind of retreated a little bit. I don't think you kept the ball particularly well in the second half.
No, this is the problem. So half time, really happy. That was Tottenham's, from a football perspective, Tottenham's best 45 minutes of the season. There have been some really good tactical halves, such as Super Cup final PSG. I think even the first half in the Champions League at PSG, match day 2 in the Premier League at Manchester City. Some against some top opponents, ironically, some really good halves, structurally good. A lot of that down to off the ball stuff. But in terms of actual football, yeah, even before Svensson got sent off, Tottenham were dominant in the opening 25 minutes. I didn't say it out loud, but 15 minutes into the game, I was thinking, we're winning this. They couldn't deal with the tempo and the intensity, Dortmund. They couldn't deal with it.
Yeah.
And it just makes it more frustrating when you've watched Tottenham every game, like I have. Where is this? Where's this tempo and intensity suddenly come from now? Mm-hmm. And I also don't know if maybe there was an element of pure shock to Dortmund, because Dortmund went, well, these are passive. We'll go down, we'll be able to play. So it is possible that Tottenham shocked them, because Tottenham, when impressed, played with intensity and tempo. Brilliant. I also absolutely acknowledge, as I said on Tottenham on Patreon on Wednesday, that because a little bit like Bournemouth Monday night, we didn't have a bench to change things.
Yeah.
And by the way, it was nowhere near as 100 mile an hour as Bournemouth was Monday night. But I totally accepted. You're 2-0 up in Europe. You're not going to go gung ho and play to the same tempo. You are going to manage the game better
With a man advantage. Yeah.
with a man advantage.
Yeah.
I understand that your tempo is going to lower. Also, the opposition has got to make a decision whether it steps onto you or not, which it did. So I understand the tempo coming down. I'm fine with that. What I can't stand is you've now got a man extra and you can't kick the ball.
Yeah.
How does it go from 62% possession in that first half to 45% in the second half?
Yeah,
You've got a man advantage now.
Yeah.
Tottenham were dominating before the red card. Even with 11v11, you thought we could take this game away from them now in the first half. That's how it felt.
That's something I wanted to say, actually. I actually thought you were better against 11 than you were with 10 in the first half as well. You kind of dropped off a little bit from what I saw.
Yeah, then, I mean, for a Frank team, because he wants to get the ball wide, obviously they normally play a back three, Dortmund. They've gone to like a narrow 4-4-1, and then Tottenham have just gone into the wide areas and hurt them pretty badly. Odegaard was really good and direct on the night. You spoke about Jed Spence on the other side. Yeah, it really pissed me off. And actually walked out the ground from at half-time thinking, I'm so happy with that. That's great. Because even if it goes wrong, go, right, you've given me the way I want to watch my team play. It doesn't have to be technical brilliance. I know there's a lot of players not good enough, etc. But give me something to support. And there was so much toxicity going into the game in terms of how the crowd would react. I think the crowd ended up getting on board because the injury situation for that particular game was obviously so bad. It was like, well, got basically 12 players, better get behind them. And it united everyone, actually. But then they played in a way which meant you couldn't not support them and want them to do well. Then full time comes around. It's like, just lost another 45 minutes of my life there.
Yeah.
And ultimately, they won 2-0. The result's really good. And I'm not bothered that they didn't score again. I am bothered that they didn't just control the football match with a man advantage. So much of the game is man to man at the moment, as we know, off the ball. In effect, what you've really got is you've got 12 versus 9. Or 11 versus 9, sorry. Because their goalkeeper can't be involved in the game until they've got the ball. So if you've got the ball, you know your goalkeeper is always a footballer for you, right? Goalkeeper can't come out and press man to man. Always, always, always at that level, you've got to be good enough where you should have a spare man. If you've got the advantage in a game, you should be keeping the ball. And I know sometimes in games, weird things happen when players get sent off and teams just, it unites everybody on opposition team and stuff like that. But in Europe, considering how bad Dortmund were in that first half, keep the ball.
Yeah, I don't think it helped leaving Bergvall on as long as he did, really.
Another injury.
Archie Gray's did pretty well, but struggled a little bit in the second half, I thought.
We'll have a couple more back for next week. So Frank suggested that Paulinho has got a chance for Burnley, but I would say they'd probably just save him for Frankfurt. And perhaps I was obviously back from AFCON.
That's good, yeah.
So we might be one up
Gallagher
for that game next week. Yeah. There's obviously a lot of players that can play at Burnley who are unavailable in midweek. Mickey van der Ven was suspended, so that's another one that can play, obviously, in Frankfurt next week. Gallagher's available tomorrow. Matisse Tell, Ibissouma. Wouldn't be surprised if they all started.
Yeah.
So, yeah. In our hands now, remarkably. I want to say Destiny Udogie I thought was incredible considering he hadn't played for 7 weeks.
Yeah. No, he did well.
Played, certainly as Tottenham started, was kind of this left centre-back, left-back hybrid role. And it is so much better with Dominic Solanke up front. It's so much better. And you can tell he's not fully fit yet, but it's just better. The way he just brings people into play, his understanding of how to press, all better with Dom in the team.
Yeah.
I'll leave Tottenham there. There was more on Tottenham. What I would say is the next bad result, he's under massive pressure again. But I am fine with him taking the team tomorrow. You had a very good result in France, David, beating Marseille 3-0, which can be a very intimidating place to go, actually. Talk to me about this change of structure.
Okay. Well, it was... So we played pretty much a box midfield. So Gravenberch, McAllister, Szoboszlai and Wirtz basically flooded the midfield. It was a really good night for Arne Slot. He did tactically a good job on Marseille. Pace and width has been an issue for us for a long time throughout this unbeaten run. It's been an unbeaten run that's boiled everyone's piss, seemingly, amongst the Liverpool fan base. Mo Salah was back. So Slot basically played Salah and Ekitike more as strikers than Salah being on the touchline. So they were kind of
similar to Isaka and Ekitike in San Siro against Inter. It's kind of similar to that.
Yeah, not a million miles away. Yeah, and he used the Verts would occasionally drift out wide, but Kirk has had his best game in a Liverpool shirt by a long way, and he's definitely getting there. It's really good to see. Credit to Slot, who's kept faith with him. He could have easily, as part of his kind of back to basics type stuff, taken him out of the team for a lengthy period and gone back to Andy Robertson. But he's kept faith in Milos Kerkez and is being rewarded with that. Frimpong was right back, but if you look at the heat map, he was just wide right, flyer, yeah. Keep your eye on him in FPL. He may be a factor. He's definitely on my mind. Still sat there with Virgil van Dijk at the moment, and he's pretty much the same price. Yeah, really good night. Unfortunately, Ibu Konate's just lost his dad from what I can see. So Joe Gomez played really well on Wednesday night. He was absolutely faultless. Him and Virgil van Dijk know each other very well. We still had some hairy moments. I mean, you're never going to play a De Zerbi team and not come under some sort of pressure at some point. Mason Greenwood was lively in the first half, but we deserved it. We played really, really well. 3-0 doesn't flatter us. Gakpo came on at the end, basically sort of in a goal hanging role as Marseille kind of pressed towards the end, and he got his goal. Yeah, a lot to really enjoy, and it was nice to see us score some goals, be the better team, and deserve a win. It was, and it kind of takes a little bit of pressure off of Slot. Slot was, I don't know if you've seen him on CBS, the show with Carragher and Thierry Henry and.
I saw a clip of Carragher calling his mum.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah.
She'd had a few, hadn't she?
Yeah.
Which she did admit, by the way. I'm not accusing.
Yeah, she'd been to the theatre, I think. But Slot did an interview with all of them, and it's always entertaining, when you see clips like that. And I like it when Slot has a go back at Carragher, because Carragher's obviously, he's paid to say a lot, isn't he? But Slot did mention he's got this thing about low blocks, where a lot of our really bad performances have been at Anfield when teams have sat back and kind of said, "What have you got?" On a few occasions,
Sunderland, Forest,
yes, Burnley. Yes. Although we should have won, we should have won. We missed a penalty and created plenty of chances. But games like Wednesday, basically when we play a team who want to have a go at us and say, let's have a game of football and see what Liverpool have got, those are the games where we've been a lot better. And De Zerbi's not going to, especially in a home game with that raucous crowd, they were always going to sort of attack us, and it a little bit played into our hands. And it's one of the reasons why I'm kind of thinking we might be all right tomorrow as well, because we won't need to go looking for Bournemouth tomorrow. Iraola will press us and have a go at us. And I'm not saying they won't cause us problems, but there'll be space to work with in transition. So I'm cautiously optimistic after Wednesday that we'll do all right. Maybe a good time to play them. Semenyo's just gone. Tyler Adams is out. Tavernier's out. Fast forward now when we get turned over 2-0. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, good night for us. It's really good to see that the new signings, well, I mean, they've been there 6 months now, but Kirk has had a good game. Frimpong had a good game. Ekitike's already had a good season. There's some good stuff from Liverpool there. So yeah, long may it continue.
Okay, put yourselves in a strong position now, which, I mean, if you think back when you lost the PSV, that's pretty bleak from that perspective. So win at home to Carrier Bag Shop, and I watched Carrier Bag Shop, by the way, on against Frankfurt on Wednesday. Actually shouted, "Get in Carrier Bag Shop," when Carrier Bag scored. Sorry. In the 94th minute, because that meant that Eintracht Frankfurt were eliminated from the competition. And they play Bayer Leverkusen 3 days after they play us next Wednesday. So, I mean, I don't want to tempt fate here, but Dortmund were bad. I went
They
to
are.
Frankfurt in April. I know going to these places, going away could be very different, but I'm hoping they sack the game off.
We beat them
But
when we were at our
5-1,
most
wasn't it?
vulnerable. Yeah, so that is a winnable game for you
I
for sure.
don't think they're as strong as the team that we played in Europa League quarterfinals last year. Like when I went there in April, I really thought Tottenham would go out. I actually think Tottenham have a genuine chance of going there and winning next week. They conceded the same goal 3 times over, basically, Frank. But any case, they're out. There's only 4 teams actually completely eliminated at this stage. Kairat from Kazakhstan, Villarreal, Slavia Prague, and Frankfurt. Tottenham, by the way, would have played 3 of those teams across their 8 games. I covered this on Tottenham as well. How Tottenham fifth? Yeah, look at the positions of the teams that we've played. That'll explain a lot for you. Although it is somewhat ironic that we've played 4 home games in the Champions League, haven't conceded a single goal, won all 4, and yet have only won how many league games at home? 2.
We're just looking at some of the teams you're above in the league: PSG, Chelsea,
We've
Barcelona,
definitely,
Man
without a shadow
City.
of a doubt, we knew this when the draw was like Tottenham had the best fixtures of pretty much any team in the schedule. That's part why we're there. I'm not delusional to it. But a win in Frankfurt will guarantee us going through, as it will do for yourselves. A draw won't be enough for us. It might be for you.
I think it might be for us. Yeah, yeah.
We thought it was going to have to be a really strong goal difference, 16 points. I think if you draw, you'll go out just about, I think, possibly. So I do think you'll have to win the game. You look at Real Madrid on plus 11 and say, yeah, if they win in draw in Benfica, I think that will be okay. You on plus 6, not so sure. Bayern Munich will obviously go through along with Arsenal, and credit to Arsenal for winning all 7 games. Those will highly likely obviously be the top 2. That would mean they would avoid each other till the final and will always have second legs at home now, as long as they obviously stay in the competition. For teams below Tottenham, there are, all these teams 6th to 13th on 13 points. So, I mean, for me sitting in 5th on 14, I've got like 8 teams that can just jump me with a victory. And there's a couple, Inter and Juventus, on 12 points, who particularly Inter would probably jump us if they won as well from a goal difference perspective. So, yeah, Tottenham could finish as low as like 15th here, despite being 5th. That's how quickly stuff can change. The game to watch for the neutral next week, I would suggest, and although I'm sure many will watch the goals show, which is probably the way to do that night unless your club's involved. But if you want to watch a specific game, I guess that's got to be PSG versus Newcastle. Newcastle's goal difference is plus 10. PSG's also plus 10. I would suggest the winner will go through. Anything else for either going to go. If the draw of each other, I think they'll both go out. Can't believe that'll be enough. Chelsea, with their victory over Paphos, have got themselves now into 8th position. Winning in Napoli might not be enough because they're on a plus 6 goal difference. Barcelona on a plus 5 and have Copenhagen at home. Manchester City on a plus 4, have Galatasaray at home. And I'd even add in Atletico Madrid on plus 3, Bodo Glimt at home. Yeah, that's not the same as playing them away from home. There is definitely a circumstance here where Chelsea are in 8th, winning Naples and still don't make the top 8. You're just in the fates there, I think. Chelsea missed the trick. And I know that the goal they did get was quite late, but they really wanted to be targeting a few goals the other night. Still, it'll be an exciting end to the competition.
They were unfortunately thwarted by Paphos's. It turns out it's their reserve goalkeeper. He's called Jay Gorter. I watched highlights of this earlier. I mean, Chelsea only won 1-0, but they basically battered Paphos, laid siege to their goal, and he made 7 saves, Jay Gorter. I've seen most of them, some absolutely great saves amongst them. So, yeah, sometimes you just run into an inspired goalkeeper, don't you? And yeah, like you say, the goal difference doesn't look too good for Chelsea now as a result of that. But yeah, they definitely, although the goal came late, it was a deserved win for Chelsea.
And finally, Aston Villa obviously clinched their place in the top 8 of the Europa League. That pretty much rules out, by the way, the possibility of double game week 27. If it's going to happen, it's going to be game week 26, I would suggest. They won 1-0 in Fenerbahce. Have you seen this image going around of the wheelchair area
No.
the away end at Fenerbahce. It's actually caged in
All right,
for the
God.
wheelchair enclosure for the away fans. My goodness. Great victory for Villa. So they're guaranteed qualification to the next stage, and they'll be favourites for that knockout stage. They're the best team in it. Nice headed goal from Jadon Sancho last night. Villa picked a stronger team actually than I kind of expected actually, but they got the job done. There was this issue with Unai Emery and Yuri
Tielemans,
Tielemans.
yeah.
Tielemans come off. Emery give him a push. Emery was asked about it afterwards when he did his interview and would only say two words: Marco Bizot. Nottingham Forest. Sorry, I did that was slack last night as well. I couldn't resist it. Nottingham Forest lost 1-0 in Braga. They are going to be in the playoffs. They won't get eliminated. They're on 11 points. They can't get eliminated, but a victory is not going to get them top eight either. So they will be in the playoff places, which I'd suggest might be good news for those trying to catch them towards the bottom of the table. Forest could do without those extra two games.
We should mention Arsenal winning in the San Siro as well, to be fair, shouldn't we?
I did mention it.
Oh, did you? Right,
Yeah,
fair play.
7 wins, won them all. Well done. The best team in it. I'm fearful that they're going to go all the way. Um, I kind of want to finish somewhere between like third, fourth would be great because then I can't lose them to the semi-final. And then I realise how much of a deluded idiot I must be to even think that Tottenham might see a semi-final anyway, right. Let's finish quickly, David, with free hit and wildcard drafts for game week 23. What have you gone with for a free hit, mate?
Okay, so I'll just read it out for the benefit of the audio. I've gone double Everton defence with Pickford and Tarkowski at home to Leeds. Double Arsenal defence, Timber and Gabriel. I wouldn't take them out on free hit. Midfield for Semenyo, put Dango in against Forest. Saka against United feels like a Saka game to me. I couldn't put my finger on why, but just feels like he might do well. I think Foden, wouldn't take him out on free hit, even despite the uncertainty that we spoke about before. Haaland captain, Thiago up front, and then just needed another striker with the money left, so I picked Raul Jimenez at home to Brighton. Bench of Dubravka, James Garner, Aaron Wan-Bissaka, and Reynaldo. I don't know how many people will be on free hit this week, but if I was, that's what I'd go for. How about you?
The Foden choice is interesting.
Just because I've got him, it's like you have a consciousness of having him in your team versus free hit sometimes, wouldn't you? So if I took him out on free hit and he started and did well, it wouldn't sit particularly well, would it? I don't think so.
No, I didn't hesitate to do it personally. It's just too much doubt. I think, legitimately, if he was on a free hit, I think I'd probably take him out. There were definite similarities. And there were certainly influence in terms of some of my decisions. So I haven't gone any Everton defence. I do have Tarkowski sitting as first sub, and it may well be needed this week, by the way. If you were free hitting, which we don't advise anybody does, but if you were, particularly if you are going with some City players, which I'm sure you will be, make sure you've got one or two decent players that could come into your team for you. I haven't gone any Everton defence. I think Leeds to score Monday night. I didn't keep Timber and Gabriel. I went Gabriel and Raya, and that wasn't a reflection of I want Raya over Timber. It was a reflection of, well, I can't believe that Mark Gay won't start for Manchester City, so I don't mind having that coverage for this fixture. And I think if you are free hitting this week, you'll want to go free Man City. And I also changed it in the sense that because of Nottingham Forest's defensive issues in terms of set pieces, Nathan Collins felt like a much better choice than Kevin Kelleher this week. So I put Nathan Collins in. Midfield, Semenyo, absolute given. Harry Wilson, I wouldn't want to take out as an owner. Yeah. I put Illiman and Dye home to Leeds Monday night. And like you, agree, feels like a Saka game. I do, yeah. I feel like when he comes up against the more high-profile opponents, which obviously United are, I think it steps up a different level for him. And I have that vibe about Bukayo Saka this week as well. Up front, wouldn't change my front three. Thiago, Haaland, Ekiteke. In reserve, I've got Dubravka, Tarkowski, Crescencio, Somerville might be a cheeky one this week, showing some good form lately. And Omar Alderete, same fixture. That's free hits. Wild cards. Just on wild cards, by the way, guys, there is an intention It might change. There is an intention to do a Chip Talk podcast for you publicly next week on a Game Week 24 wildcard. I can only tell you at this moment that it is an intention. I'm not going to go into why at the moment, but it's just an intention. I know a lot of you are going to be on wildcard for 24. Personally, don't advise it as done on Chip Talk, but we will look at some different angles for it. That's the intention next week. What would you do wildcard at this moment, David?
Okay, so I have left 0.5 million in the bank here, which I'll explain why in a minute. But just for the audio, I've kept the same keepers. I potentially, if I had more money, would maybe get Robin Roths in, but he's 5 million now. I've kind of not really wanting to pay 0.5 more for a goalkeeper, really. So I've just left it as it is for Brugge and Dubravka. Kept Timber and Gabriel at the back. Other defenders are Trevor Chalobah and Daniel Munoz. I think Palace come back on radar very soon. So I think he's back, isn't he, Munoz? It might even.
We think at time of recording, obviously see what Oliver Glasner says later today if he doesn't resign when he does it. But we think Daniel Munoz will probably be back in the Crystal Palace team tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, I'll cover the strikers first. So I've kept Haaland and Thiago. I've taken Ekitike out and downgraded him to Krupi, which I'm not buzzing about, but there are 5 midfielders I clearly want on wildcard as of next week. So I've got Rodgers, Bruno Fernandes I'd get in now, Enzo Fernandez I'd get in now, Declan Rice I'd keep. And my other midfielder from next week would be Brian Bumo, but he's got Arsenal this week. So what I've done on this is put Semenyo in for this week at home to Wolves. We're pretty sure he'll start. And then keep the money in to switch into Bumo next week when United's good fixtures start. But if I was wildcarding in the near future, I'd have a clear preference for those 5 midfielders moving forward. Rodgers, Fernandes, Enzo, Rice, Bumo. I think those are the 5 I'd want. So that's what I've gone with on this. Okay.
Mine, very similar. Different structure, but very similar. So yeah, same as you, Dubravka, Verbruggen still for me. Timber, Gabriel wouldn't go for me too. Trevor Chalobah. In terms of other defenders, Omar Alderete, little bit of insurance money involved. Sunderland's fixtures okay. I think at this stage, in terms of planning ahead, I'd go Marcus Senesi actually. In terms of Bournemouth's upcoming fixtures, and I think he'd probably be very useful, particularly the period as we get close towards the blank. The only concern with him is he's out of contract this summer. And if someone puts down a bit, Bournemouth will not want to sell in this window. But if they get an offer they can't refuse, a little bit like with Palace, got to take it.
Yeah.
And obviously the Palace deal, in terms of Gay, Senesi won't go to that value. Obviously not. Age profile, player quality, etc. So if they get dangled 15, 20 million, they might look at it. That's the only problem with him. And he's probably my preference in terms of a no Riley replacement next week. That concerns me because if he does rock up at Tottenham, I'm like, could you piss off out my team very, very quickly? But I probably would chance that at the moment. Midfielders, I agree with you on 4. Enzo Fernandez, I think timing wise, yeah, I'd feel obliged if I was doing it now to put some Chelsea in. I
bought him last night, Enzo, before he went out.
Rice, Rodgers, Fernandez, non-negotiable really for me at this moment. Not buying Bruno Fernandes this week is very different to not putting him in on a wild card.
Yeah,
just get it in. Yeah, I agree. Although my structure I'd actually bench him this week, just ready to go. Harry Wilson, there's too much value involved for me to be letting that go.
Yes, I understand that. Yeah, I've never had him, so yeah.
And also very aware that anyone that goes for Enzo and doesn't have Harry Wilson is going to find it very difficult not to make that transfer in game week 28 if Harry Wilson is still a Fulham player and still showing form. Up front, I wouldn't want to touch that front three, Thiago, Haaland, Ekitike. Until something happens where I get really alarmed about Ekitike, I have no intention of pissing about with that.
Picking Dubravka this week over Verbruggen then?
Yeah, I mean, that's not even necessarily just an anti-Tottenham thing. It's just, it would be Wilson against Verbruggen.
Yeah.
So it's close enough. Burnley are at home. I would, if I didn't have Harry Wilson, I'd probably be struggling with that decision, actually. So it is actually from a logical, remove the emotion. What am I doing in terms of maximizing my potential returns this week? In this scenario, on the close call, yeah, I'm going to go with Dubravka because I don't have a Tottenham attack and I do have Harry Wilson.
Yes, understand that.
That's the way I would do it. But I also would not be surprised if that's 0-0 tomorrow or Burnley win 1-0. And it's going to be interesting in that way. And if that happens, I can assure you. That is all for the weekender. Thank you very much, David. Cheers. One more thing I did want to plug before we finish, because I did promise our good buddy Matt, Clean Sheet Wipeout, that I'd do this. He didn't ask me to do it, by the way. I offered to do it for him. So you might have seen something from Matt, which I shared on my timeline a little over a week ago, where this is Matt Samuel, our Southampton correspondent. You might know him as Clean Sheet Wipeout. His best friend's his best friend's wife, a lady called Sophie, has stage 4 cancer at the moment, and they've got 3 young children at the moment. So they've put a GoFundMe together to essentially try and be able to afford enjoyable moments they can and try and make Sophie's life as good as it can be for the moment, and obviously assist with childcare, travel, transportation, etc. They're just looking for a little bit of help. They've asked for a target of, I think it's 2.2 thousand. They've raised 1,685 so far from this GoFundMe. This community, this FPL community, when it puts its minds together, can do some very, very amazing things for people. And this was something that touched me as well, because I can't begin to imagine, for Matt's friend, Cameron, his name, I can't begin to imagine what my life would be like as a parent looking after one young child if something like this happened to my wife. So to be in that position with 3, yeah, I really feel the difficulty behind that. So we'll put a link into the bio to that GoFundMe if people can support and help in any way. We'd love to have your help on that as well.
Yeah, that's
other than that. Sorry to end on a sad note. Other than that, I hope you all have a great weekend. David, enjoy the differential show with Suj. As always, everyone, smash a like, hit the sub button. Audio listeners, 5-star review goes a really long way. Have a great weekend. Cue music, please. Man child.